Uneducated, unfiltered, unhinged. This is the Mangina Dialogues. We at it again with your host Nick Scopes and the Gregolicious. You know how we do, cause you know we keeping it gangster and silly. Unplugged like a full swung titty. About get jitty, cause you know we down to the nitty and the gritty. And we make shit sound so damn pretty. Yeah, cause this unhinged comedy. And right now you're in the mix. So get ready, cause we about to get it poppin'. And we ain't stopping.
Hello and welcome to the Mangina Dialogues. I am your host, Nick Scopes.
And I'm Greg.
That was so boring what you just said. And I'm Greg.
I was debating if I was going to commit or not commit, and I sort of like...
Well, at least our guest today has a really cool name. Kevin Gootee.
Yeah, you can't half-ass the name like that. You can either slow roll it out or you can just come out bang. But man, that was one foot in, one foot out. I don't respect that intro. You may want to do that again.
I don't respect it either, bro.
I don't respect the slow roll, like the half in, half out approach. Fucking all in or not. That's what I say.
I could have just been like, hey, it's Gregolicious again, and we can have gone there with some insults, but it's all fine. They're all good.
You're nuts.
They work for me.
Gregolicious, is that your grinder on-screen name or no?
Oh, it's so much more than just grinder. It is really what my claim to fame.
I have to ask the Mangina name. How did you come up with that? Was that inspired by Step Brothers or not?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Okay. Funny you mentioned that. We're doing, and I hate to jump the gun. We're doing that on our podcast. In fact, we're taping it tomorrow as well. Is this live or when's this recording or when it's played?
No, it'll come out in a couple of weeks.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So anyway, we're doing Step Brothers on our podcast tomorrow night. And I just rewatched that 2 nights ago. So as soon as you said Mangina, I thought the theme of from Step Brothers.
Yeah, it's 100% Step Brothers.
Started.
And truthfully, the reason this podcast exists is because that name came to me in the shower. Like, no bullshit, not a story. Me and Nick were starting to talk about doing a podcast together, and I'm like, well, we have to come up with a name. And my main business is in intellectual property, so I know how hard it is to come up with something that doesn't exist, that's ownable. And I just was throwing a ton of names against the wall, and nothing was sticking between me and him. And then finally, I work with Sony on a bunch of their properties, and Step Brothers is one of them. And I had just watched it again, and it just hit me in the shower. I'm like, Mangina, and then immediately went to the book and the play, Vagina Dialogues. And I'm like, there it is. That's the name. And there was nothing existed anywhere with those two words together. And I'm like, Nick, that's the name of the podcast.
Yeah.
What do you do for Sony? Just curious.
My main business that I actually get.
He's an intern.
Yeah, I'm an intern.
Yeah.
This sounds like you don't want to say it on the podcast here.
Oh no, I talk about it all the time. I'm in consumer products, like licensed merchandise.
Oh shit! See, I was all ready to start pitching you my shows and say, hey, this guy can help me out, but apparently, probably not.
Well, I've actually done that. I've pitched my own shows and produced them and developed them and signed talent. I've been in and around lots of different things in the entertainment world.
He pitched his own shows, but he opens up with, I'm Greg. and no one wanted to fucking buy it.
I should have clarified. Did you pitch your own shows to Sony?
No, not to Sony, although I did sell a script to Sony, to Sony, yeah, actually.
Woo! Maybe we can talk later on. I was just the EP of one of my shows then.
Well, speaking of, you're talking about our podcast name. Now, your podcast name is pretty interesting as well.
Yeah, I thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's called Gutting the Sacred Cow. And I'll just give me 2 minutes for my elevator speech for all you folks who aren't familiar with the podcast. And why would you be? So I'm a movie snob. So is my co-host, Kevin Israel. We're both stand-up comedians. And we put it like this. There are 8 fucking – we can curse on this, right?
Go for it.
Okay. There are 8 fucking million podcasts out there, 4 million of them which are film podcasts. And I'll be damned if I was going to do a podcast where it's me and a few buddies just sitting around drinking going, yeah, man, Star Wars is better. No, fuck you. Empire's better. No, fuck you both. Jedi's better. Like, it's the same boring shit with so many podcasts out there. So when people are like, listen to my podcast, I go, no, I listen to 4 podcasts. I listen to Howard Stern in the morning, listen to Russo in the afternoon. I do not have time to listen to your podcast unless it's a hell of a hook. And that's what I do with all of my shows. So with Gutting the Sacred Cow, again, we want to do a movie podcast, but we had it with the hook. So here's the hook. We have our guests come on, and they pick a film that they absolutely positively hate or find overrated. But here's the twist. The film just can't be anything. It has to meet one of these criteria. It has to be a financial success or critically acclaimed or widely beloved. So you can't come on and go, Friday the 13th Part 7 sucks. No fucking shit, it sucks. It's awful. We know that. So you got to come on and pick something that's going to – our goal is to make you look at your phone or your tablet or your computer and go, what? These motherfuckers are going to bash blah, blah, blah. And that's the goal. So we have people on who've done Goonies, Pulp Fiction, Star Wars, Batman, Superman. We have Uncut Gems. I just mentioned Step Brothers. We're taping tomorrow night as you hear this. We're doing Silver Linings Playbook. I just had to rewatch last night. We Gone with the Wind. So we're getting classics. We're getting the widely beloved ones in there. And the person's job is to convince us to see their argument. Sometimes we agree with them and say, yeah, this is a piece of shit and it's widely overrated. Sometimes it's a split decision. Sometimes like, no, fuck you. This film is fantastic, an asshole, and you're wrong. We also do different segments throughout. You know, we do 5 fun facts. We read Amazon user 5-star reviews, Amazon 1-star reviews, and critics 5 and 1-star reviews too. So we have segments in there. Again, it's just not a 45-minute sit around with 4 dudes with beards and craft beers and shooting the shit. No, this is a scripted, this is a regimented, segmented show. And it's, I think it's one of the best things I've ever done. It really is. Gutting the Sacred Cow on every platform you can imagine. iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, iHeartRadio. I think I said YouTube already. But yeah, everywhere you can get a podcast, or if you want to watch our smiling faces, YouTube.
What are there any particular titles that you went in with like, there's no way these guys are going to convince me that Goonies sucks, and you came away with like, you know what, you're right, Goonies sucks?
Oh no, has anyone completely convinced us to switch it? Never, no. We have conceded they've made some great points. Like one of my favorite guests, and we're actually, so it's a couple weeks, yeah. So as you hear this, we're going to have one of my favorite people in the world on, Bill Schultz, yet again. He came on episode 3 and did Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. He made a lot of good points. He said it doesn't suck. He said it's overrated, and he gave a lot of good points how. So we're going to have Bill back on, and then we're going to host, and my co-host, Kevin Israel, is going to pick a film. Actually, he picked a film, The Shining, that he thinks sucks, and is going to try and convince Bill and I. So we're going to flip the roles. Instead of the guest trying to persuade us, we're going to role play sometime, or sorry, switch roles up, and then have the guest sit in as host once in a while. So, but yeah, so Bill made us think about it and say he made a few good points. I'm looking at the list right now. Peter Garacci did Godfather Part 2, made a lot of good points about Godfather 2 being overrated. Sometimes the film itself will make you go, I don't really need someone to help me think that this film stinks. Like you watch it again. Perfect case is Jim Andrinos did Inception. At first, I thought Inception was great. Rewatch it, you're like, oh, ooh, it's just real quick fun fact. Do you remember the point for Inception, what the main idea behind Inception was?
No.
Yeah, it was a bank robbery. It was a robbery to get in the guy's safe. And that goes completely disregarded for after the first 5 minutes and barely touched upon the end. And it's just, you can't explain Inception. At least the Matrix, we can all explain the Matrix and how it works. We can also explain how you can go back in the DeLorean back to 1985 or 55 or 1885. With Inception, there is no explanation. There is no nothing. It's a bunch of nonsense. So to answer your question, we've never had anyone go with their argument, sway us. We have changed our scores based on arguments, but never fully said completely, oh, you're 100% right. Like Goonies is a piece of shit. By the way, it is a piece of shit. It does not hold up at all. Rewatch it.
I'm sure it's not. Like I probably would have to rewatch it, but that was one of my favorite movies growing up as a kid. But like you rewatch it, probably now, I'm 32 now, and I'd be like, a little ridiculous. But it could. I don't know. I think some people get caught in like
nostalgia.
Nostalgia. It's an emotional connection, or like I heard actually someone talking about Martin Scorsese, right? Obviously, great filmmaker. But, they were like, yeah, Casino sucked. They're like, it's just West Coast.
What? Casino's a gem.
They're all good movies, but, like, people get caught up in, like, it's Scorsese. You have to like it. But I think it was actually a stand-up on a podcast. He was like, "Isn't Casino just West Coast Goodfellas?" And I was like, I mean, yeah.
But also, it's a true story, so you
All the
can't
same.
make that comparison. It's
Yeah,
not like it's a fictional story derived from Goodfellas, which was a true story. They're both true stories. There is an Ace Rothstein character. I forgot his name. And by the way, Good Casino on cable nonstop now, and that fully passes my remote test. And I'm going to patent this fucking saying. The remote test is this: whenever you're flipping around and you catch something like Casino, you drop your remote and go, "Yep, I'm done for the next hour or whatever less left in the film." Pulp Fiction, another perfect example of a remote test. Star Wars, Matrix, Clerks, Ferris Bueller, like all those are prime remote passing.
Shawshank Redemption.
Shawshank, absolutely, 100%.
Yeah.
I went to high school with one of the girls from Goonies.
Which one? Don't tell me Martha Plimpton.
No. Carrie Green, the curly redhead.
Yeah. She's from Jersey. I didn't know that.
Yeah. Grew up in the same town. She was in Lucas and
Summer Rental, I think, was it?
Yep.
Yeah.
She and then she disappeared. I think she lives in Utah. It's honestly it's a killer concept, and
thank you.
I love watching people debate things that other people are so incredibly passionate about one way, right? Like I don't know if there's any film that I feel that strongly about sitting down and trying to convince someone I think is great when they think it's otherwise, or vice versa. Right.
Yeah. I think it's you got to convince us why you hate it. Like, I think whenever I'm going to try and gut a sacred cow on my own show, I'm going to pull up something I think like Christmas Story. I think is an egregious piece of shit. I fucking hate that movie. I never got as a kid. Never ending story. Same story. Never got as a kid. And you watch it as an adult, you're like, how in the living shit do people like it? Again, as a kid, I understand, but even as a kid, it didn't hit me. So a couple of those are the ones I could definitely be passionate about and go, nope, this is a piece of shit.
Off air at another time, because some of these are like the biggest things in my like real business, and it drives me fucking crazy, and I don't understand it. Christmas Story is one of those. I should send you a ton of product that you guys can have for your props on your shows.
Send it over, buddy, please. Fire away.
Smashing
off the air. You can send all that shit, and we'll feature it.
Just smashing mugs of movies they don't like.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Low camera, just.
I was in for a long time. I made a ton of rock and roll merchandise for you name the band. We did stuff for them. And one of the most notorious stories that was ever told to me from one of their managers was that, you know who Zakk Wylde is?
Of course.
Guitar player, he was Ozzy, Black Label Society. I did a ton of stuff for BLS, and I sent him it to his house, hey, here's a bunch of shit for you. They used some of the product we made on one of their album covers, and then took the rest out to his backyard and shot it with shotguns. So they called me up. They're like, yeah, Zakk loved it. He took it all out back and destroyed all of it with his guns. I'm like, that's amazing.
Oh, that's funny. Stern used to do a bit like that where his staff would give Christmas presents. If he hated him, he had a big wood chipper in there and shredded the shit out of like 98% of the gifts that were given to him. So kind of sort of the same thing. But that's funny. They're both hilarious.
You're a big Howard Stern fan, obviously.
Oh, yeah. Big fan. Since 1990.
To 90. So, and you grew up in Jersey?
Yeah.
All right. So you listen like the real shows. I did too, obviously. I'm obviously a huge Howard Stern fan. We've had a bunch of guys from the show on our show. And it really, to this day, amazes me the sheer size of his fan base and how it exploded, obviously, when he went on Sirius. But even at that, he's talking to more people in a given morning than anybody else that's on television these days.
It's not even close. In fact, I think I know his contract's up now, and he's talking to Spotify about maybe going over there, and Sirius would damn near fold. I think if they didn't have the NFL, they'd be in deep shit to try and maintain that listenership base. Yeah, and I actually do stuff at Sirius, and it's funny. I go there for other shows, and I see Sal and Richard. I've had Shuli was on Comics Watching Comics season 8, so. And Sal, it's funny. I'm on, on Facebook, when you get those Facebook memories. A year ago today, I did the John Fugelsang show, and outside I saw Richard, Sal, and Benji, and I ran into the halls before. I go, hey guys, what's up? And they're, hey, what's going on, bud? Richard doing his thing. Super nice guys, but yeah.
I actually developed a show with Benji and Elisa years ago.
Oh wow, she's a smoke show too.
Oh my god, insane! Like Yeah, crazy. Very nice people. Like he was an awesome dude. It's a shame that we couldn't get the show going anywhere. But yeah, it's wild to think that, Sirius, when Howard went over there, had like it just, obviously they did a lot of work with the car companies to really blow that thing up. But I mean, now it's almost 20 million or something.
I remember I got it because he went on air 1906, January 9th, 2006. I think it was like over Christmas vacation. I went and bought a satellite radio in Best Buy. I go, well, here we go. And then I just got hooked in the world of music without commercials. I go, this is the greatest thing ever. And then not too long after that, Russo came aboard. Mad Dog Russo came aboard. I go, well, another easy one. So I've had Sirius since day one to make that, 14 plus years, 14 and a half years I've had satellite now. So
yeah, I've had it longer. I've had like my first satellite radio was an XM boombox in like the 90s. When it first came in, like, and I used to have it in my office, and I would just listen to the hair metal channel all day long.
Air Nation.
Yeah, for weeks. It was like the greatest. And then I bought a used car that didn't have satellite radio, and a year later, I'm like, I have to give this car back. Like, I have to get out of this car.
You got why don't you just buy the plug and play thing where you just pop it in, you pop it out of your car, and you just run through the cable?
Laziness.
Oh, okay. I had a company car. I was a drug rep back then. I just had the pop and play so I could pop out the radio, take it to the docking station of my house, and fire up and listen to music there. It's funny. You mentioned about having the cars. My wife got it in her car, and nothing infuriates me more when she has on her music and she'll have on a terrestrial radio station while on satellite. I go, you're missing the fucking point here. The point is not to listen to shit commercials, yet you have it on the fucking station from LA. It's just, if you want to listen to, she likes First Wave, go put on the First Wave station. If you like New Wave, put on the First Wave station, or Lithium for grunge. Yeah. But don't put on a goddamn commercial station when we have satellite in the one car. Ugh.
Yeah, I know. Is Howard Stern a big comedic influence to you?
Huge. Oh, God. I mean, huge. I'll never forget. It was 1990. I'll do my Sour Shoes or Gary impression. And I was in seventh grade. And I had my Walkman on, listening to him on the bus every day. And it was a whole different world. He was talking about things as a 13-year-old kid, 12-year-old, was it 12 or 13, 12, whatever, both 12, 13, talking about things that you never would hear anywhere else. And I said, this is amazing. This is what it's like being an adult. Because, when you're with adults, they got to change the conversation real fast. They can't talk about anal and all that other fun stuff we all love as adults. But, and dildos and shit like that, meow. But it's just that whole world exposed me like, holy shit, this is what it's like being an adult. And having the stars hit and talking about sex so matter-of-factly was like, well, here's Steven Tyler from Aerosmith talking about, having a 5-way with groupies in between Sweet Emotion and Love in an Elevator, all playing in a giant stadium, for Christ's sakes. So, yeah. And then everyone else, I mean, Artie was great and funny. Actually, one of my buddies, he actually is friends with Jackie now. So I've had lunch with Jackie pre-pandemic. We'd have lunch with Jackie like once every few months. And Jackie, he hasn't listened to the show in years, he said. But, and you wait for a while, and then I can throw like a story about the old show when he was on, and he'll just go into it and tell stories, another story related to that. And just next thing you know, it's an hour later, and he's still just ripping out stories from back in the day on the Stern Show. You're like, Jesus Christ, man, this must have been, Woodstock on steroids for 25 years straight,
We had obviously being a lifelong Howard Stern fan, and I was the same way. When I first got turned on to Stern, I was in high school, earlier than both of you guys, and I used to take my Akai boombox out to my driveway, shoot hoops, and listen to Lesbian Dial a Date in the afternoon on K-Rock.
Oh my God!
And like it completely changed, everything for me in regards to what I found funny, and it certainly helped grow me up in a different way than if I listened to just straight WNEW FM, right?
Right.
And didn't have that in my life. And then when I went to college, I went to college in Boston. He came to Boston, so like I've had that lineage literally since I was 1985, right?
Right.
And he certainly has done. I mean, whatever you're into, whether it's music or comedy or talk radio. I don't think groundbreaking or anything like that is big enough word for what he's meant to.
It's like when Wayne Gretzky retired from hockey, NHL said, nope, you don't need a 5-year waiting period. You're going right in. The Museum of Broadcasting, he makes fun of all the time, but it's like if there is something like that, he's going to have his own wing like Gretzky does in the NHL Hall of Fame.
Yeah, for sure. I want to talk about comics watching comics and talk about that a little bit. I was looking at the Instagram earlier, and like I said off air, a couple of headliners we've had at our club here in South Norwalk. You have on this John Marco and Caitlin Reese, and a lot of stuff. This takes place at Broadway Comedy Club, I would assume.
Yeah, it did recently, and before that, we used to do it at New York Comedy Club. But yeah, we used to record the comedians there. That's where we tape them.
Gotcha. So how did this show come to be? Kind of explain what it is, how it started.
Wow, this is a funny one. So one day at an open mic, it was myself, and I forgot who I was talking to, but it was a day where everyone who went up was just fucking awful. And we're just texting back and forth, just ripping them apart, go blah, blah, blah. And then this is the funny shit. I said, this is funny. This is good. This would be a good show, but you just couldn't have it ripping on people. That's douchey, first and foremost. And at the time, Last Comic Standing was still on the air. I said, what if we did something that's like for intermediate comics, but at the same point in time, we took the audience. Am I boring you, Nick? Is that a problem? You keep yawning on my interview, you son of a bitch. No.
Oh, dude, I'm just basically unemployed, and I sit at home, so I get.
So how are you tired? You have all day to fucking sleep.
Exactly. No, I'm tired from doing nothing.
So I said, let's just do a show where we have intermediate comics, but again, we bring in the audience and show them what it's really like through the eyes of comedians. What you're seeing is so the comedians hang out in the back of the room most of the time. You're seeing what we watch and how we watch it. Kind of just pulling the curtain back and seeing it. It's kind of like when Madden and Summerall would break down X's and O's with football plays and so on and so forth. We'd say like, oh, that's a great idea. That's a hell of a fucking joke. That's hilarious. She's killing it. Or that dude had a great joke, but if he added this tagline, it would be 5 times funnier. Or, God damn, that person fucking sucks. They need to quit immediately. Just, it would vary like that. And there's nothing funnier than just sitting there with a bunch of comics and just ball busting. You guys have seen it. You're in the club. The ball busting that takes place is second to none. And just to be a fly on that wall for a regular Joe Schmo, it's just that's got to be. I think it's got to be really cool to kind of get that that secret pass. The knock slide the eye hole open and get into that secret club. And most importantly, it just shows everybody how really hard it is. So no guy who thinks he's funny in his office, this shit ain't that easy. And no, it's just, hey, you're funny. You should go get a Netflix special. No, it just doesn't fucking happen like that. And that's what this show is proving. Yeah. That the journey is so undocumented. There is no syllabus, as I like to say, in comedy or in pitching shows or in anything in this. At least if you're in corporate America like I am, but at least there's a path. At least if I do X, Y, then I'll become Z promotion. There is nothing like that in comedy. It is all gut. It is all advice from people that you become friendly with or what have you. It is all gut. It is a lot of it. There's skill. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of luck there. There are people who aren't where they should be, and there are people who are. There are people who are good enough, but they aren't where they should be, and the people where they are, they should not be. Yeah. There's no rhyme or reason. A lot of times it's no rhyme or reason. Sometimes it's just a luck. Sometimes it's what the networks are looking for or the clubs are looking for. But it's not a meritocracy, which drives me nuts, which is why sports will always be the ultimate equalizer. The best team wins, right? Comedy, not everyone wins who should be. Some do, some don't, but it's so hard trying to figure out what end is up and where to go, or when to zig and where to zag or whatever.
I'm just trying to get Greg to be TikTok famous. That's all. I'm trying to get him
Oh, good. Another white guy in his 50s flossing to Baby Got Back. That's what we need. I
just want to see him twerk, to be honest.
Just to finish up. So then I had the idea, and what I did was I asked people who I knew to be on the show, hey, do you want to do time and we'll do this? The first 2 seasons were pretty much a lot of my friends who were the comedians. And then I got guys and girls on the panel who are way more established than I am, more successful, have more credits. And as the seasons progress, you'll see more successful names on the panel. And then it started gaining momentum, some foothold in the communities. People are like, yeah, man. I mean, I had people fly out from LA to do the show. I had people fly from all over Atlanta, Canada. Came down
to be on your panel or to be
on the show. No, to be a contestant. No, I handpicked the panel. But to be on the show, people were flying in from Atlanta, like Dallas. People were coming in from, so a lot of places.
And this is on Amazon, correct?
Yeah. So then what happened was, right when in between season 4 and season 5, the first 4 seasons were on YouTube. And then lo and behold, I got an in with Amazon, and I got to put it all on Amazon from season 5 on out. So seasons 1 through 8 are now on Amazon. So what does someone gain by being on the show? First of all, it gives you a credit and an IMDb credit that you'll never have this early in the game. Again, we focus on intermediate comics, so you're not going to be getting those, Colbert or, Seth Meyers spots. That's for damn sure at that early in the game. And also, it's like you're going to get real feedback from from panelists that are, experienced. A lot of comics they're gonna fuck with you. They're gonna go, yeah, it was a good set. After you ate a plate of shit, you might have seen that yourself as well. You're gonna get real feedback from people who are in the trenches, not your friends or your family who don't know dick one about comedy. It's just that's that. And it's a fun thing. It's really it's a blast, and it's hopefully it's a different spin on Last Comic Standing, because I thought the real reason again was Last Comic Standing. Last Comic Standing was so fucking boring. I really was just like, ugh, really? Again, I know you're censored for TV. You can't say fuck. You can't talk about abortion jokes, whatever. Fine, I get all that, but it was just so boring and blasé. I thought this has balls. At least the panel part, when we interact with each other on the panel, the ball busting, the fucking around. We interview each other on the panel. I interview them, excuse me. I interview the panel. But at least it gives more of a real look than what NBC was telling their panels to say, hey, we want you to vote this comic because they look like this. Or we need someone of this person who looks like that. Or that person, hey, you know what, let's give that person a shot because they really killed it. Or whatever recipe of the day that they had. This is all just comics saying, this is the best person, pure meritocracy, and here's why. And then the winners get a chance to perform at a live showcase we did at Gotham Comedy Club, which also you can see on Amazon. Also part of the show, we did something called Redemption Section, where people who really ate a plate of shit, we gave them each a minute on the live show in front of people to redeem themselves, and the crowd voted via applause who had the best redeeming set that night right then and there. And then the person who won that got to do a set on the spot to redeem themselves. So,
That's dope. I like this concept, man. That's really funny.
Cool. Greg, let's get this on Sony right now. Let's go, baby. Make some phone calls. You can be my EP. Let's go.
Sending texts subliminally through my phone.
It's funny you said this though about the show. Like I was talking with another comic the other day, and we bust each other's balls pretty much all the time. Like every day through text when we see each other. Like it's all friendly and shit. But he's like, man, I feel like we should record this. And I was like, it's probably already out there, man.
Yeah.
It's interview you.
But then if you record it, you could get canceled with some of the shit that you say on there later on. So I don't know about recording.
I'm pretty careful, but like it is, the ball busting is the best part. I enjoy it so much. Like so much. It's also, yeah, I love it. I can't.
You got to have a thick ass skin, not only for failing, but also for what your friends are going to say to you afterwards.
100%. And I'll say yes. And as much as I hate improv, yes. And I've had people who didn't even get that bad of a review. Comics of the thinnest skin. Don't let real people listening. Comics of the thinnest skin. Don't get it twisted. They could sit there and dish it out 8 ways till Sunday, but man, they can't take it when the guns are turned on them. I had one friend who talked to me and one of the panelists who were just general ball busting, and she got a hair up her ass. One person actually tried contacting YouTube when it was on YouTube and saying, I want this yanked. This violates the guidelines. So YouTube sends me an email saying, you have to take this down in 3 days to respond. Why? I go, well, I'll tell you what, YouTube, here's her fucking waiver that she applied to be on this show. So she knew damn good and well what she was getting into. Just because she got a bad review doesn't mean we're going to take this thing down. They go, you're good to go, sir. I said, that's right. And I wrote her a sternly worded email basically saying, go fuck yourself, I win.
It's funny. I was going to ask you that. Like, I watched a bunch. We had Mike Gaffney on, and I watched a bunch which is how I really became familiar with you, is through research on Mike and then seeing the stuff he did, and it led me to you. And then obviously that led me down a rabbit hole of watching a bunch of the episodes.
Cool.
And I'm curious as to how many people after the fact like came to you and complained.
No one has come to my face and complained. Again, remember, comics are mostly passive aggressive. You know, they'll both. I'll hear from the grapevine like, "Oh, so and so thinks you're an asshole." I'll have them to come to my fucking face and say it. No one has come to my face. A few panelists said people have come up to them and go, "Oh man, you were really hard on me," or "Hey man, you were really cool. Thanks a lot." So that's actually, if you listen to season 5 or 6, some of the panelists are like, "Yeah, we had people come up to us because 7. I take that back. Season 7 was our all-star panel where I brought panelists back that the fans loved the most. And they were saying on the air, like, "Hey, you know, so some people didn't like what we had to say. Fuck them. Here we are again," kind of thing. So yeah, but no one's come up to me and said, "Hey, you're a piece of shit for what you guys did." No, not face to face.
And is it moving forward?
As of right now, no, only because I front the budget for everything. So this is where you come in, Greg. Let's go to Sony together. So Amazon pays me for views. That's how I make money from this, but it's not a lot of money. Let's be honest. Otherwise, I still would not be in corporate America, for the love of Christ. But it's on hold until there's a budget. Then when there's a budget, then I can go out and get all the top name comics I want. Like I want Dave Attell. I want Chappelle, I want Rock, I want fucking whomever, you know. So once I get a stage, you know, I don't want to shoot it I can shoot at my living room again, but I'd rather shoot on a sound stage. I'd rather have top performers. And let's be honest, I want to make some real fucking money, guys. That's why we're here. Stop yawning, Nick. I keep seeing this. No.
There's nothing.
It's not done. It's just it's on pause until we get the budget for it.
You think that the format could be, you know, the 5 panelists or 4 panelists sitting in a room while the people are performing live and critiquing them on site?
No, because we can't. What I tell you what, I'll give you a yes and I'll give you a no to your answer. Here's your yes. The yes would be as if we're off into another room while we're watching their live feed doing it, because you get the answer. And why I say no, you can't do it in the middle of their set. We can't ball bust. We can't just scream shit out you see us doing the show, because that interrupts our flow. And first of all, it's a douche move. Don't ever talk during comic sets, regular people. You're not adding to the show. You're not fucking funny. Shut up, sit down, listen to the comic on stage. I'm off my soapbox. So only if it's a live stream, I would prefer. So I could do the live stream, or I could do it where we watch the tape as we usually do it, but we can't do it as the comic is doing in the middle of their act. That will never work. Right.
Got it. Because that's actually sort of what Last Comic Standing did the last 2 seasons.
Right. Yeah. That's not you can't.
What I liked about Last Comic Standing was the very first few seasons. That was all the comics living in a house, then having all these challenges, like it was the Real World or some version of Real World Road Rules, but with comedians. I thought that was the absolute best format for that show, because it made it much more interesting than just watching people do a set and then having Roseanne Barr critique it.
Right. And also, when we get to the money, I have some other ideas where one of them is just, hey, we're going to have some what the hell is I should have brought my pitch Bible. I had other ideas besides, not living in the house, but other things besides just straight stand-up judgment. There's a B and C storyline there to have as well, but I just forgot what it was. So there are other things in the mix, but I know this can work. In fact, I've spoken to several networks, and they said, "Who do you have attached to it?" I go, and I gave some names of friends, like John Fugelsang, Chris DiStefano. They're like, "We know them, they're good, but they're not like, whoa, you got Chris Rock, you got Dave Attell, you've got whomever the fuck. We need someone that's gonna
make sure you tell them you were on the Mangina Dialogues. I think that will give you a big boost.
They're gonna go, oh yeah, the host with narcolepsy. I know that. That's perfect.
He lost all of his hair and he can't stay awake.
Hey, listen, we had Brian. Our episode this week is Brian Volkweiss from Comedy Dynamics. So
I don't know who that is. Sorry.
Oh, you should look him up. He's the man. He's
okay. I will.
Comedy Dynamics.
He's a guy you got to pitch to.
Yeah, you got to pitch to.
100%.
Well, hell, let's get a 3-way email going then.
Let's have a 3-way, just us 3.
A 4-way, excuse me. I can't count for shit.
All right, so listen, we're coming kind of to the end, but what should people look out for from you in the coming months? I mean, obviously live comedy is certainly not, well, at least now it's a little bit, but what should they be on the look for?
They should really focus right now on I was about to say comics, watching comics, on Gutting the Sacred Cow podcast. That's everything right now. Here's the thing with Gutting the Sacred Cow. It's evergreen. There are hundreds of thousands of films, and there are tens of thousands that are sacred cows, as I gave the criteria before. We're never going to run out of material anytime soon. And if you're anywhere of a film fan and you want to hear comedians talking about film and breaking it down with other comics who hate something and trying to defend why they hate it, this is the show for you. I promise you. There are films on there that are going to make you go, fuck them. There's no way they could try and take that down. And I promise you, there are ways we have taken things down that you may think are infallible. There are other ones that are infallible, and we have stood our ground and won the battle many a time. But in the meantime, I mean, I may do another season of fantasy football jibber jabber. That depends on a few things, but right now, put all your eggs in one basket. Go with Gutting the Sacred Cow. And if you're into stand-up comedy with the whole comics, watching comics, give that a look on Amazon Video. It's free if you have Amazon Prime. You can binge watch seasons 1 through 8. Each season's probably about an hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes long. So you can blow through that in a few days. But yeah, guttingthesacredcow.com. That's where you can see everything every Monday through Friday. We have a new piece of, we write a new article every day. We have a theme. Like every Monday is our hashtag list of 10. We pick a theme and we have 10 things of that theme. And what's today? We're taping today on a Wednesday. Today's movies that we've recently seen. Nothing new in the theater, but, things that we've watched on Amazon or Netflix, whatever. Thursdays are movie news. Fridays, sequels that we want to see or sequels that we've never asked for. Bottom line, Gutting the Sacred Cow, guttingthesacredcow.com every single day has new information out there for you. You can find where our links are to listen or see us. And hell, since you're over there, why not go buy a shirt, a hat, a little bag, something that you can wear while you're on your staycation instead of vacation, because really, who's going anywhere these days, unfortunately? Yeah. I'm going to Vegas next month. I don't give a shit. I'm rolling the dice. Let's go, baby. We're going to gamble on the plane and in the casinos. Let's do it.
Amen.
But yeah, guttingthesacredcow.com, all social medias, kevingootee.com. That's KEVIN, GOOTEE.com, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. And give that a look. You guys have been awesome, man. Thanks for having me today. It's been
thanks for hanging with us.
Yeah, absolutely.
And we'll talk about some business stuff.
Yeah, we'll do.
All right, brother. Thanks a lot, man. Have a good rest of your day.
We go take a
cool.
nap.
Great. So then I'll just text you in the
yeah,
DM
I'll text you
then, right?
Yep, for sure.
Cool. All right.
All right, brother.
Thanks, guys. Take care. See you later.